You know, those crime shows and true crime and why people kill people, and that fascinates me.
Wonderful. This is great. Thank you, Paul. I really appreciate the chance to chat with you.
You're totally welcome. Thank you.
I'm speaking with Paul Boyd, the director of Scared to Death, which is honestly so much fun, Paul. It is there's so much in it. It's got all it's funny, it's intense, it's got a bit of everything. Where did it come from?
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I bought a old house 20 years ago. Charlie Chaplin owned it, the original owner, and the guy that sold it to me, it was a sell by owner. The day before I moved in, said, "Oh, this house is haunted, by the way. Prostitute died here in the 30s. It was a bordello. She's called Mary. She walks around here. Everyone's seen it." I'm like, "Oh, thanks for telling me." So I move into this house with my wife and kids, and I never saw anything. But I'd be up in the middle of the night taking a pee, looking in the mirror, looking over myself, really freaked myself out. And they all saw ghosts. The family, they all saw it. So it kind of became this talking point of believing is seeing. And that was kind of the root of the movie, which is the core of where Champ is coming from, the film of how it's not the eyes that see, it's the brain. So that was kind of the root of it. And then it was really, trying to make Living in Oblivion as a horror movie. I wanted to make a film about what I know, film crew, the paradigm and of all those personalities, and making the monster a real person, instead of some mythical creature, because we are the real monsters. So it kind of came from there. It came from, you know, um, basing something on reality. And then when Lynn got involved, we changed it to comedy. Lynn was originally going to play the sidekick. And she goes, "I don't want to play the sidekick. She goes, I want to be the boss. I want to be the meanest, most evil." So that changed everything. It leaned into comedy. She ended up writing a lot of her dialogue. So it was this kind of ball of clay. They say there's three films, right? The one you write, the one you shoot, and the one you end up with. Well, that was this. It was an evolving ball of clay that just leaned into the strengths of the actors.
Well, I mean, they're all clearly having fun. I think they're having a blast. You can see on this set as well. Like you said, there is more comedy than I expected, but there's also that horror as well. And
Yeah, yeah. You get those moments, the jump scares and I mean, we tried to lean into every cliche in the book. I mean, that it's kind of a love letter to horror movies. It has all of that, the mirror and I mean, all those elements. But it kind of tried to treat it in a more stylized, heightened way. I'm not trying to make a documentary or, something real. This is wacky, goofy, silly, absurdist. That is what's important to me, is
Mhm.
kind of, you know, blowing the lid off a little and not trying to take itself too seriously, you know?
Well, it's interesting you say that because the you're right. The film doesn't, but there's some stuff in here that's absolutely takes itself seriously going on, especially, with like you said, talk about the we are the monsters.
Mm.
And with these stories of these children who were quote unquote scared to death. And I would love to know from you, like horror often sort of gets a bad rap for being just about the scares, but what do you think about this film as having a bit of a deeper, more reflective side as well as that lighter tone? How do you balance that?
Absolutely. I mean, look, as a writer, you want to imbue your work with some meaning, So to me, I'm into the science, dimension. I was talking about, UFOs, I've never seen one, but do I believe they exist? Yeah. Same with ghosts and spirits. Like, to me, that's why I got into the science of really believing is seeing, and how what you believe really creates your reality. So that science behind it became interesting to me. But it was more to do with the personalities of, the wrestle, because it takes a village to make a movie, but sometimes, the hierarchy and all that. It's like old versus new. Lynn represents the old, Jasper represents the new. Judgment, like our business being so woke and everything now, everything's changed, and then you bring in this character from the past who's used to doing it one way, and everyone's scared to death of her. She's the real monster in the story. And was she a child at the orphanage? We had it all tied up in nice little bows before we undid all that. You know, Felix and Amos, is he reincarnate? We were so specific that it ended up becoming like we don't need that. It's best just to leave it open and let people figure out, or calculate in their own brains what the hell's going on. But yeah, it was fun. I wanted to make it fun. I wanted to make it scary, but I wanted to make it fun. And I think with the shifting of Lynn and Bill, that's what allowed that to happen. It was like a happy accident, you know what I mean? Like, and I think part of filmmaking is being able to roll with the punches and embrace those changes. Because sometimes, even though at the time it may not seem right, things happen for a reason, right? And with the energies of people coming together. So I think, yeah, listening to that is important.
Well, it sounds like that this was really collaborative process to bring this to life. Was that the case?
Oh yeah, truly. As I said, there's three films: the one you write, the one you shoot, and the one you end up with. And I think, look, a lot of directors don't do that. Tarantino, he's like, stick to the script, say every word. Same with the Coen brothers. It's the intonation of that. For me, that's not my process. My process is, I believe you bring all the brains together, and that's what makes it better. Like more like Cassavetes was like that too. It was kind of the improvisational element is important. And when I cast the actors, I told that to them. I said, look, here's the script. You say it in your own way if you want to say it. Just get across the meaning of what I'm trying to say. Because you're writing for women, old folk, young folk. I mean, you know what I mean? You're trying to put words into everyone's mouth. For me, and I've written 20 scripts, but for me, it's still, I really value the input of the actor.
I love that, and you know what? That I think that gives joy to their performance as well because they become part of the film in a unique way. I think that's really interesting. Can we talk about monsters and men? Because I love that theme in this film, and I've been able to talk to some of the others about this as well. But the idea that we are the monsters, and why was that something that was important to you to explore in this film? I mean, certainly you've talked about belief and how that
Mhm.
framework shapes your reality, but what about this, the monsters and men?
Well, I grew up single parent, with a mom with a father that was kind of a monster that I never met in my life. So a lot of that and a lot of my film a lot of my stories have to do with missing fathers. So that is part of it, my own trauma from my childhood and trying to resolve what that is. And just the complexity of human nature. There's crime shows and true crime and why people kill people, and that fascinates me. It really does, like, behavior and all that. I studied anthropology for a long time, so that the human condition really fascinates me. And I think you're right. Look, if you can embed some of that into your storytelling, even if you're telling a goofy horror movie, with silliness in it, if you can still underneath it all have a layer of science and questioning and reality, I think that's makes it so much more interesting. I have a whole film coming up about witchcraft and sleep paralysis and the word nightmare, nichtmar, night horse. Like, the people have sleep paralysis, they wake up and they're imagining a demon or a witch kneeling on their chest.
Hmm.
That's the origin of the word nightmare. Like, that's fascinating to me. Like the science of language, and you know what I mean? There's so much more than just killing people with knives, or making gory, scary movies. Like, to me, The Shining is like the greatest horror movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's just on such and I love Evil Dead too. I mean, I love the gore and even Peter Jackson's early movies. I get all that. But suspense is more important to me. Hitchcock, The Bomb Under the Table. That's what this is. It's not a mystery. It's a suspense, like the ticking time bomb. With Lynn, the shit is going to hit the fan. You're just waiting for it to happen. And that way, everything hinges on the fact that it's going to explode. So I learned that he's my greatest teacher, Hitchcock, I think, above everybody, with regards to, and you can only hope that at some point in your career you can make something as good as someone like that made. That's what I aspire to, is like all the greatness of these brilliant filmmakers. It's like, wow, how do you do that? Like, how do you
Yeah.
get to a place where you can just how to tell the story, and you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
such a craft. It really is. Like, to get that right. And I believe that I'm still learning. I mean, I started making films when I was 13. I'm 59 now, and I still believe that I'm at the beginning of the journey of learning. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and some of the, I mean, well, all the names you've mentioned are great filmmakers, but I mean, like Hitchcock, for example, he had a way of investing you into its characters and then upending them at the same time. That few people have been able to sort of do it at
Yeah,
that level.
yeah,
It's pretty incredible.
it is. But that's the inspiration, right? You look at that, you look at Capra, you look at all these, these incredible directors. I mean, that's it's all there for you to, you know what I mean? Because nothing's new. Do you know what I mean? I mean, look at Tarantino. All of his movies are remakes of other obscure. I mean, that's the thing. It's not about reinventing the wheel. It's about how do you connect with people? How do
Hmm.
you connect with them? And that's that. It seems like it would be easy. You know what I mean? Maybe it is for some people, but for me, that's the challenge: is how to how to connect in a meaningful way, even in the context of something cartoonish or something. I mean, how do you underneath it all put some kind of underlying message in there? That's what it's ultimately all about.
So how do you do that in a film like this? As you're creating and developing these characters, what aspect of Scared to Death um, really feels like you make that audience connection?
I think it's generational trauma, right? It's when Lynn is in the loft with the kids and she starts crying, and it's like you see that there's another side to her character there. That this is this woman, I don't want any kids in the movie and animals. And then you see her confronted with a bunch of kids, and she's the one that says humans are the monsters. Do you know what I mean? So you understand with her that there's trauma here. There's some trauma that has put her in this situation. Was she an orphan at the school? Was Bill reincarnated? Like all these things are kind of left untied to where you can kind of interpret it. But that was, it was interesting, man, because she had such clear ideas about the character herself that it's like, okay, usually it's me. I know, but you bring someone else and they really know it. It kind of shifts everything, and it becomes even more of a challenge to kind of to get it right. More brains is better in the end, I think. Really.
Well, you know what? Let's talk about Lynn here for just for a second. I know we're starting to run out of time here, but I would love to know working with her. I mean, she's certainly knows her way around a horror film, but what does she bring to this film and to the process of developing it that was most exciting to work with her?
She just brought like a truth to it. She was the one that didn't want to tie the bows neatly at the end of the story. She was like, don't rely on that. She goes, just let the truth of the character speak through. And, she brings truth to it. I mean, that's the thing. She's playing a stylized extreme character, but that's real fucking world. I've known people like that. So, and I wasn't afraid of, a mean woman. Like, let's make a mean, like sexism. With her, it went out the window. It was like she wanted to go there, and I wanted to facilitate how to do that in the most believable way, but also push towards, the ridiculous. It's honestly, it's kind of fearlessness. So to me, I really believe that. It's like I'm not afraid, and I might fuck up. I might mess it up. But if I don't go there and at least try and push the boundaries a little, then what the fuck am I doing? Like it just I'm not doing this for the sake of it. You know what I mean? I'm trying because it's so fucking hard to even make a film that to try and imbue it with some kind of meaning is the hardest thing. But ultimately, in the end, that is what it's all about for me. Otherwise, I could maybe make a lot more money and a lot more success in some other business. But for me, it's about storytelling, right? That's what I miss. When we were kids, we'd sit around and be told stories. And I come from Scotland, where it's all about that. It's mythology, you know, myth are public dreams, and dreams are private myths. I live by that. I really live by that. And there's so much history and so much texture, of what we've gone through as humans. It's like a library of information. And I think if you can take some history and fact and embed it into whatever story you have, it just makes it connect more, I think. Maybe that's what's making this connect, because I'm surprised. This is really connecting with people, this story.
Hmm.
I didn't know if it would, but it is. So, so I guess the process of working it out got at least to some point where it's communicating, because you never know. It's so subjective.
Yeah.
You make all the intention in the world to make this meaningful thing, and then people just go, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right over.
Well,
So
art is one of those things, like you said, once you've made it, it really is up to the people who take it in to give it a new life. And I think this one does. This one does.
You're right. It's like when you go to a gallery to see a painting, there's not some big description what the hell it is. It's you just take it for what it is. It's that sharing. And that's what movies are like that too. But the beautiful thing is that people talk about films, they share them and but yet a couple, can be in love and hate the same, and one can love it and one can hate it. That's the most
Yeah.
amazing thing about film is what is it that makes a film connect to people? And what is it that makes some films connect to everybody? That's the most fascinating thing. I'm like, what is it that just some films just connect and everyone loves it? That's the nut I want to crack. By
No,
still writing original material, but finding a way for it to really connect with people.
yeah, absolutely. Well, absolutely. There is something about that, about a story that really
Yeah.
can unite a lot of people and split us, but also unite us. But honestly, Paul, we're out of time. Thank you so much for this. Has been a wonderful conversation. This has been great, and I
Mhm.
really appreciate the chance to chat with you about this film. It is so much fun, and there's a lot there to unpack. So have a great day. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Have a great day.